is alcohol and stress. Does alcohol help with stress? So that's the question, and I'm going to break down the answers from my experience. You can share with us what your experience is with alcohol and dealing with stress, coping with life in general with alcohol, and let us know exactly what your experiences are with it. But I'll share with you mine. I'll break it down into a day of dealing with stress, how it rolls into day two, day three, and before you know it, we just have a tough life. We just have a life where it's difficult to even deal, to function properly. We think that we're doing okay with alcohol. We think that we got it under control. We think we have it, but we don't. And I want to go into depth about that. So I'll break it down. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name's Josh, living life alcohol free. If you're returning, welcome back. Good to see you again. And today we're going to discuss stress, alcohol use, and how the two combine, and what it's like to try to cope with life, especially while we're drinking alcohol. So I'll break it down in one day, and then we'll go from there. So all right, so say we're working, we have a stressful job. Say our job isn't even that stressful, but once in a while we have to deal with a stressful situation. It could be a public service job. It could be a coworker. It could be a customer. It could be a boss. Someone says something to us, we don't handle it well, and it stresses us out. So we do our best to make it through the rest of that day. Um, we plan on dealing with it, but we do start to think, man, I can't wait till this day is over. I can go home and just drink. Go home and forget about this comment that they made, forget about this job, and just forget about my problems. So we go home, or we go out to a bar, or whatever it is that you prefer. My preference was always to go home. I prefer to drink alone, and that was just how I rolled. But occasionally, I'd like to go to a bar, meet up with a friend, or even just go by myself and drink. Um, but preferably home, usually, and especially it was just because isolating just made me feel comfortable. If we're stressed out, like I'm discussing with this day, and I don't want to be around people, right? I just want to go home. I want to drink. I want to be in peace, and I don't want to deal with people. So we go home, we start drinking, and after a couple drinks, we start to feel better. We start to feel solace. We start to feel uh, numbed out. We start to feel like all those problems that we had to deal with today, they fade away into nothing. And we chase that feeling. So we keep drinking. We drink one after another, and we might feel like we get to that occasion and get to that feeling after like four or five, but for whatever reason, our brains just tell us that we need to keep chasing that feeling. So we keep on going, and we keep drinking. And if we have a family, if we have people in our lives that are around, maybe they're not around us while we're drinking, but they're in the house, they're around, we have to deal with them. And because we're feeling better about our day, and we're forgetting about our boss, our coworkers, our customers, or whatever, um, that's great. We feel like that weight lifted off. But while we're drinking, we start to make other choices that hold us back. We start to make choices like saying things that we normally wouldn't say to those around us. We start to um, react negatively. We start to um, say and do things that we normally wouldn't do if we weren't drinking. And then, we're adding on more stress by doing that. We're adding on more stress, more guilt. Welcome, Holy. Um, we're adding on more problems. But say that we're just drinking alone and we don't cause more problems. Say that we're just having a good time and we feel like we're that fog from that day of work is lifting. But we drink a lot, we go to sleep, or we pass out, or whatever it is we're doing, and we sleep till say 3 o'clock in the morning. We wake up and we have that 3 a.m. wake up call, that alcohol induced wake up call. Our heart might be palpitating. We might feel nauseous. We might feel, just sick. But we might take a medication or something like that. We get back to sleep, but it's not good sleep. We might go back to sleep for a few hours, get up 7, 8 a.m. and we attempt to start our day, but we're not feeling our best. The alcohol does not help with sleep. Even though it feels like it in the moment, it helps us get to sleep. It helps us forget about our problems. And then we get to that morning, we start our day. Okay, say we don't feel our best. We're not so sick that we can't function, but we're irritable, we have a headache, a stomach ache, whatever. We have to go back to work. So yesterday is over. We're starting today, but we're not starting our best. We're starting with a hangover. And like I said, even though it might not be like a terrible hangover, we're still dealing with whatever it is that we're feeling. And I guarantee the irritable is involved in that. So we go to work. We're in the morning, we're just trying to fight off that hangover. And we get to say noon, we start to feel better, and that hangover is kind of dissipating. And then we start to think about alcohol again. And we start to think about that binge session. We start to think about just how nice it's going to feel when we get to our drink. Maybe it's at home, maybe it's at a bar again. And let's just say, for instance, we're planning on meeting friends tonight. So it's day 2. And again, something happens. We have to deal with a deadline, whatever it is at work. A customer's not happy. Our boss is saying something that's negative. It's whatever. It's making us angry, and we just can't wait to get out of there. Is it beer 30 yet? We used to always talk about, is it time? Is it beer 30? Is it wine 30? Whatever our drink of choice is. Is it that time yet? And it's a joke, and it's funny. You text with your friends, whatever, your spouse, and whoever you're going to drink with. Maybe you're drinking alone, and you just think about it, and you're like, man, I cannot wait to get the fuck out of here and drink. And man, and drink at this person. I hate this person. I can't stand them. They're bothering me. And or maybe it's a bunch of people. I don't know, but in any case, you can't wait to go home and just drink that problem away. And you get to the bar, you meet your friends, you have a few drinks, you start to unwind, you vent about your day, you vent about yesterday, you vent about everything that's going on in your life, and you feel better. The alcohol is helping that stress. You feel better, you feel good, and maybe you go home, maybe you drink more, maybe you don't want to drink and drive too much. And so you don't drink a ton at the bar, but just enough to feel good. But then you go home and you just drink one after another at home, and then you don't have to deal with driving. So you start to go into that cycle again where you're just drinking a ton. You're trying to catch that, keep that feeling going. that you started to feel after 3 or 4 drinks, but now you're like 10 drinks in, and you pass out, you go to sleep, whatever it is you do, um, and then you wake up at 3 a.m. with that 3 a.m. alcohol wake up call again, that hangover wake up call, and here you are, you're starting your third day now, and you're doing it exactly the way that you did it yesterday and the day before and the day before that. Before you know it, you're building up all these extra stressors. You're building up more resentment towards people, those people that are in your life. You're building up more ill will, more bad feelings, and a bad day turns into a bad week. And you keep doing that over and over again, and a bad week turns into a bad month. A bad month turns into a bad year, and just a bad year turns into a bad life. And so that's kind of where I'm going with this. Alcohol, it helps with the stress in the immediate moment. After a couple drinks, you feel good. It's true. I mean, my sweet spot was like 2 through 6 drinks, I'd say. Welcome, Cindy. I'm glad that you're here. Um, Thanks for sharing sharing your group, or thanks for sharing this group with you, with your shared groups. We're just talking about stress and recovery and how alcohol helps with stress and how it kind of numbs us out. We feel good when we're having 2 or 3 drinks. We feel good even after like 6 or 7. We feel good. Um, but then we chase that feeling, and we get to a point where we're like, man, this is um, this is wreaking havoc on my life. This is not helping. This this is making everything worse, and it's leading to me not being happy about my life. I'm not happy where I am with my drinking. Um, I can notice that I'm starting to drink at people. I'm drinking to quiet the voices of those people that hurt me. And yeah, it helps for a brief moment, but it keeps those ruminations alive. And I hear sometimes from relatives, and they talk about something that another person did to them like 20 years ago. And I think that's what drinking is like. We stay in that perpetual cycle of remembering the things that hurt us, and we keep those memories alive, and we give them weight. We we I don't know, for whatever reason it feels good to think about. Maybe it feels good to think about what we would do differently in that situation if it were to occur again. And we try to think about, like, if we can have that moment over again, maybe we'll react differently. And sometimes we have an opportunity to do that. Sometimes, if it's job related or family related, we have an opportunity to either make amends or say something differently, and react differently to what they might say again. And sometimes that's helpful. I mean, sometimes it's helpful to talk that out if we can, but sometimes we don't have that kind of a relationship with that person. And having that conversation with them isn't really possible. Having that crucial conversation, maybe it's just that we have to just cut ties. Maybe that's just the reality of the matter, but we have to try. And if we're drinking alcohol all day, every day, or using it to numb out or kind of cope with a situation that we don't like, um, it doesn't end up helping. It ends up making us make more poor choices. So it's a cascading effect. And I just think that we need a little bit of distance from alcohol to be able to see that. It's not something that we can see when we have the fog of drinking uh, daily uh, in our lives. So Cindy says, from my experience, it may feel like alcohol helps with stress temporarily, but it causes even more and worse stress in the long run. Absolutely. Like I said, it's for me, from my experience, it's hard to see that when you're in addiction. It's hard to, I mean, you might be able to acknowledge it, but maybe you have a spouse or a close person to you that sees you, that says that to you. Um, and sometimes you can acknowledge it to a degree, but for the most part, we just want to defend ourselves. We don't want to admit that completely, that, hey, um, it's the alcohol that's causing that, because if we keep thinking that, eventually we think we have to give it up. And we don't want to lose that crutch. We don't want to lose. I mean, for me, it helped me. And I talked about this in some prior live streams last week, that I had maybe a couple, 2 or 3 years where alcohol wasn't a huge problem for me. I was having fun with it in my teenage years. And it really started to become a problem when I was 19, when I got a DUI. And then things happened, cascaded after that. And um, I was in that drinking cycle where it was fun with problems for like the rest of my drinking life, at least for the next 20 years. Um, Yeah, isolating in 2020 was a huge thing. I think a lot of people picked up alcohol even as a way to cope. And so, yeah, that was a whole thing. I mean, for me, I quit in 2020. I quit in April, a couple 6 weeks into the pandemic. That's when I quit, because my drinking accelerated, and I could see that where this was headed, and I didn't know where we were heading as a world. But for me, I could see that I was just going to continue to drink, and it wasn't going to end well if I didn't do something about it. So I ultimately quit drinking at that time, and like I said, it was 6 weeks in that I just kind of looked at my drinking and said, I'm not even having fun anymore with this. And so I gotta figure something out. It's not helping with the stress. It's making it all worse. And like you said, like we're talking about here, it might help for a brief moment, but as a long term strategy. And people that don't drink, they know that. That's where a lot of the judgment comes in. People that never had a problem with drinking, or they don't drink, uh, they don't really understand the plight of the drinker. Like they can think they know, or they can judge and say, like, it's the drinking that's causing you the problems, but they don't know the reason why we're using it. And I think that's a stigma, and that's one of the things that keeps us addicted. At least for me, whenever I would hear someone tell me that I had a problem with it, I think I feel like I drank more, because it made me feel like there was nobody else that understood what I was going through. And when I got sober and found a group, that's really when things started to change for me, because we could share those stories with people that were like minded. Like, you don't have to drink a case of beer or a fifth of whiskey or whatever it is to be like have a problem with alcohol. I mean, you can, if you think that you're having a problem with it, even having just a couple or three every night. I mean, some people have one and they think that that's a problem. And if they're thinking that way, and they're leaning on that one or two drinks at the end of their day to unwind, and then feeling not great in the morning about it. I mean, that's really a huge eye-opening thing. Um, and if we can acknowledge that the alcohol is causing us more stress, we can finally get over it. And also, finding a group of like-minded people was really the biggest thing for me. I tried AA. I tried Really, AA was the only group that I really tried. But by the grace of God, I was able to find a book and a community right at the beginning, when I started to think that I wanted to be done with alcohol. And having a group like that really helped me because they were on there 24/7. I could post something and go talk to my wife or go for a walk or whatever it is, uh, and come back to that group, look on there, and there would be 7, 8, 9, 10 comments of things where people relate to what I'm saying. Um, they have some recommendations on what they do, and that kind of camaraderie really helped me stay sober. And having that group really just solidified in my mind that I'm not alone in this. I can lean on them at least for a little while. And in fact, I was on there probably for 2 years before I really started to be the one to help other people stay sober. Until that point, I really just was venting on my day to day life, belly aching about everything that was going wrong. And in fact, I had one guy that was on there every day too say like, wow, finally you put something nice, like something positive on there. I was starting to wonder, are you just going to keep on belly aching? And man, that hurt. But I mean, it really was kind of like it kind of did help me think to myself like, yeah, I have been complaining a lot, and I'm not getting over this um, kicking the can down the road. Yeah, but the problems still continue to go. Yeah, it's like a snowball. It starts out small, it's going down the hill, and it's building in size and momentum, and yeah, and that's the group that I was on was called This Naked Mind, and it's a book by Annie Grace, and it's a community, and she uses a pitcher plant as a visual for addiction. So you got some people that are on the upper rim of it, just drinking what's on top, using it, and it's good, and they're not having any problems. But then some people like me like it too much and start to slip down that pitcher plant. And then there's some people that are so far gone that they're like at the bottom of it, drowning. And that wasn't me on the bottom, but I mean, any of us can be susceptible to that if we're drinking, especially if we're using alcohol as a coping mechanism. Any of us can uh, fall all the way down, and it's being in that mid area that really is the problem when it's like it's fun, but and you still see value in it, but bad like things are happening, problems are occurring, uh, one on top of the other on top of the other, and we're never able to get a hold of it because of our addiction. So that's what this was about today. I got to get going to work, but I'm glad that you guys all joined me. Cindy, I'll catch up with you on Facebook um, or on here on the channel. Uh, if you guys are looking for a group, I've got a Facebook group. I pin the link in all my videos. You can check that out. Also, I come on here Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for a live stream. It's usually 15 to 30 minutes, um, whatever I can do. But I'll be back on Wednesday, and I hope that you all have a great sober day, and we'll see you then. So have a great day, everybody.